I've always been inspired by Gandalf's words to Frodo about Strider, not all who wander are lost, because it really encapsulates the spirit of a rambler, and that's what this channel and my publication Rambling Spirit is all about. It's about seeking the truth and taking it as it comes to us, not expecting it in chunks, not expecting to know all the answers at once, just taking it one day at a time because that's all we can do, and not trying to figure out our life all at once. So we're wandering with direction because we trust God is leading us even though we don't know where we're going. That's the spirit of the Rambler. That's the Rambling Spirit, and that's what's happened in my life. This is just showing you how God has brought together all the paths I've taken in life. In my early 20s, I worked in construction with my dad's general contracting business. In my later 20s and into my 30s up to today, I ride with Uber and Lyft and Grubhub and DoorDash and all those driver apps. And I recently got my real estate license. And I've also worked with various publications, mostly local newspapers and Catholic publications. So I don't know why I've taken all these paths that don't seem to have anything to do with each other, but I think they finally are converging, and it's going to be hard to explain how they all do, but I'm going to try. I want to start with the rideshare and delivery apps. DoorDash, Roadie, which is an offering from UPS, Lyft, Uber, and Grubhub, also known as Dr. Luck. I started using these apps to make money on the side while starting up my business, but they proved to be an integral part of my business model for a few reasons. In addition to giving me the freedom to do other work and to work for myself and set my own schedule, Dr. Lug has also given me the means to fund some of my business projects. It's as consistent or as sporadic as I need it to be, and that's perfect for my business model. It also gives other people the freedom to enjoy going places without having to worry about their own car, and the freedom to order food from their favorite places without having to drive there. The job also reduces the number of cars on the road. And Dr. Lug provides a sustainable way for me to run my real estate business. I got into real estate with the interest of being an investor, and being an agent simply helps with investment strategies in ways I can explain later. But one of the popular strategies for real estate investors is driving for dollars. That's when you drive around looking for distressed properties to flip, then look up the property, contact the owner, and offer solutions for the distressed property. I found that Dr. Lug fits into the strategy quite well because as I'm driving around doing deliveries and ride shares, I get to know the area better and I become more familiar with the distressed properties in all the towns where I ride and work. If there's downtime between requests, I drive to these distressed properties to take photos and notes on the property. And every once in a while, I run into the owner. These are zombie properties that I'm looking at, so they're usually absentee owners, but it does happen. So it's about more than just taking cars off the road and making money on the side. It's about getting to know the community better, familiarizing myself with the areas where I want to invest, and driving for dollars doesn't really feel like such without Dr. Lug. To me, it's more like just driving around because the dollars part doesn't come until much later. But with Dr. Lug, it does come quick. For every delivery and ride share, I get paid. But a couple of words about the big ideology. What do I mean by that? We live in an ideological world. And right now, biggerism is winning. What's biggerism? It's the idea that bigger government, bigger businesses, bigger schools, even bigger churches are better. Uh, so a paradigm coming out of this ideology is the alarmist mindset. that if we don't reduce our carbon emissions, the ozone layer is going to collapse and the ice caps are going to melt. That's not why I support taking cars off the road. I just think fewer cars on the road will result in a better lifestyle for everyone. Every day, almost 3,700 people are killed globally in crashes involving cars uh, and other vehicles. And crash injuries are the leading cause of death for children and young people from age 5 to 29. Also, they cost the world economy approximately $1.8 trillion per year. Add to that the much less serious matters, just the nuisance of traffic jams, the extra expenses of gas, tolls, insurance, and maintenance, the space that cars take up in our communities. It just helps to have another option so we don't have to depend on our cars so much. That's the underlying reason before I was in real estate, why I felt like there was a true valuable need for the work. But now with real estate, it has that extra dimension of getting to know the community and the properties in the area uh, in which I want to invest. Also, another biggerism mindset is the big businesses like DoorDash, UPS, Lyft, Uber, and Grubhub. They're big businesses, but I'm not working for them. And that's important because their apps are just tools that connect me to the people who need my service. And it's no different than going to Home Depot to pick up a drill to finish a home repair job. I'm not working for Ryobi or Craftsman when I use one of their tools to clean up my yard. I'm a freelancer using the Dr. Lug apps to help sustain my business, and it has proved to be effective to do just that. And I like to work. I like driving around. It's funny because when I was working for my dad's general contracting business, I was often the gopher. I would go pick up tools at Home Depot or pick up lunch at Wawa. And I was like, I kind of like this. It's a good break from the manual labor of construction work. If only I could get paid to do something like this for a job consistently. And then shortly after, they started coming out with these rideshare and delivery apps. And I was like, I'm all for it. Let me do this. And everything else kind of just evolved from that because as I was driving around my community, meeting small business owners, seeing all the construction projects, reminiscent of the work that I did with my dad, I was like, you know what? I really want to get involved in that again. I really want to look at my day's work and be like, wow, I built something today. I just helped build a foundation. I just helped raise a frame for a house. And it's very fulfilling work. It's very sweaty and bloody and dirty work also, but that's what's required for to build something. So these are some of the projects we completed with my dad's general contracting business, construction maintenance and associates. Back in the day, it was like 15 years ago now, but we built our own farmhouse. We built the banquet hall at Cranberry Inn. We renovated the promenade at Riva Point in Weehawken. And we built the Valley Plaza in West Orange and a few townhouses on Grace Street in Jersey City. And we also did some revitalization projects. We helped revitalize Journal Square in Jersey City. The farmhouse we built was a tear down and rebuild. There were a few abandoned lots that we beautified with landscaping, and we also renovated a old bank in Allentown, New Jersey. It's definitely something I want to continue, and I wanted to link it to my Catholic faith, and I just noticed how renovating zombie properties that no one cares about, is easily connected to the Catholic faith, because when we rehab these properties, when we bring them back to life, contribute to the community, we're showing the resurrective power of the gospel, of people who believe in the gospel and are willing to go into a broken down area and revive it. So I'm very passionate about that, and strangely, I'm just seeing the connection between my desire to get back in construction and learning about real estate and this connection to the Catholic faith. But learning about real estate was hard. It was a matter of learning a new language, really, and learning all the laws and the terminology, and learning how real estate investing and real estate agent work is really more about marketing. We're actually marketers, and our product is real estate. I didn't know that going into real estate. I thought I'd be able to just work with real estate and the subject matter would be actual properties, and that's the case, but it's always focused more on the money. And I've had some falling out with businesses in the past when it came to marketing, because they wanted to focus on marketing and I wanted to focus more on the mission. And we really need to be careful not to let money take over the mission. I don't want money to be the reason I make a decision. The money will come, and seek the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. And so learning real estate really put a quagmire in my journey to do God's will in my life, because I didn't know exactly why I was in real estate. I don't know why I studied for my real estate license and paid thousands of dollars to learn about real estate investing. And the deeper I got into it, the more rabbit holes I got down, the more strategies I had to learn, and the more I was like, this has nothing to do with what I really want to do, but I guess I got to learn it in order to learn how to acquire properties, because acquiring properties is part of God's plan for my life. And so I learned how to cold call and market on social media and door knock and all of the stuff that most people hate when marketers do them, but I did them anyway, and it was fine. And I made a lot of friends and colleagues in the process, going to a bunch of meetings and making good connections. But all the while, I had the back of my mind, I'm gonna have to cut this off at some point to reorient myself toward the mission that I believe God wants me to be oriented toward, and that is building a young adult community house. And I never lost sight of that, or at least God never lost sight of it. And he just said, just when you get back on the path, just take my hand again. I know you're going down some paths that are not exactly what I want you to do, but I'll make it work. Just come back to me. And I mean, that's kind of what's happening right now. And he's making it work. He's showing me how all of these puzzle pieces are fitting together, because he works all things out for the best. So now I just want to talk about building these young adult community houses. Here's a concept I just imagined with Midjourney, which is an AI image generator. So it's very rough, but it's a start. And the idea is to have 3 structures on the property: 1 men's house, 1 women's house, and a chapel, because the community is going to be anchored in God. But the purpose of this video is to just show how God is working through all of these crazy paths I'm taking, and just saying, all right, Dave, you want to do it this way, I'll make it work, but keep your eye on the mission. And this is the end goal. All he shows me is the next step and the destination. He doesn't show me anything in between, and I prefer it that way. I think all of us should look at our lives as like a novel, and we're the main character in the novel, and not even the main character really knows what's going to happen. And even those observing the main character, like by reading, they don't know what's going to happen. And that's the excitement of the novel, and that's our lives. God's the novelist. He's writing the chapters, and we're going along with it, hoping everything works out for the best, but we really can't know anything more than the next thing we're going to do to get to the ultimate destination. There's always obstacles along the way, and there's going to be more than I even expected, probably, but there's also going to be more grace and more abundance than I ever expected. That's the excitement of life when we do God's will. But building these young adult community houses has always been on my mind, because when I was in my 20s and into my 30s even, the desire for community was never really met, because we all go our own ways. We're young adults, we're ramblers, we have jobs we need to take in different cities, we some of us even get married, and so we have to leave the community we're part of. And there was never anything permanent, because whenever a young adult group tried to sustain something, it was just a matter of time before life happened. So I've always wanted to build a place that was intentionally built just for young adult Catholics, discerning God's will, looking for their vocation, and something that was self-sustainable, so they don't even have to worry about their job breaking them away from the community. The community is the main focus, and I am just starting to notice now how God has helped me build my own self-sustaining business. It's not bringing in much money, but it's at least proof that we can work for ourselves in a way that sustains our lifestyle and promote a vision that we believe in. So an integral part of the young adult community houses is the Rambling Spirit publication, where we forward the ideas of the community. We talk about what we're doing, we talk about the ideas we have in mind, and this also helps prevent the vision from fading into obscurity, because the articles are constantly going to be promoting the mission of the young adult community. And it took some time for me to bring all of this together. Thank God that He finally shined some light. And I just give praise to Him, and I hope everyone else sees what I'm trying to do. And obviously we're going to need some help. I already have some people involved. We're doing a lot of good, and I hope you join us. I'm going to keep saying I hope you join me, and I don't mean that just by like clicking the subscribe button down. And I have to admit, I sometimes get frustrated when I find a YouTube channel that is talking about all the stuff I love and believe in, but then it's like, yeah, contribute by subscribing, and it's like, that really isn't enough. We need to do more than that. So I seriously want to keep the communication open. I want to keep the conversation going. Let's talk about some practical ways to implement these ideas. And I think the best way to make these ideas more concrete is to pour concrete. That means building these young adult community houses and the chapel, because the community is going to be anchored in God. Alright, so I just wanted to sum everything up here. Not all who wander are lost. That's the spirit of the Rambler. We all know our next step, and we're wandering, but with direction. God has plans for us to prosper, but He only tells us the next step, the very next thing we need to do. And one of the things I felt God calling me to do is the rideshare and delivery apps, and that helps me connect to my community outside my door. It also helps take cars off the road. I understand the need for cars, but every trip I take means there's one less driver on the road, and one less person who has to go out themselves, and one less vehicle on the road to worry about. And my vision for community does include more walkable environments, but I don't support the large-scale 15-minute city model like we see in China. I think we can build better communities ourselves through grassroots efforts. The US is built on freedom. If we embrace that paradigm to spread better ideas through social media, blogs, and videos, I believe the ideas will catch on, will garner more support, and start to solidify a plan to build better communities. But we have to start small. I've been involved in the Catholic young adult community for about 15 years, more like 20 if you include college. But for that entire time, I've sensed a desire to build a place where Catholic young adults can come together to live a vibrant, holy life, a place that's built for them. And we can live intentional Catholic lives together and build ourselves up, build each other up in virtue. In my teens and 20s, I worked for my dad's general contracting business, and working in construction taught me how it's not easy to do this. So it requires a lot of blood, sweat, and dirt. And I also acquired my real estate license and learned how real estate investing is not easy either, and acquiring property is not easy. So it's going to be a very tough road. On top of that, my goal is to acquire zombie properties, which are probably the hardest to acquire in rehab. No one wants them, they're a complete mess, and usually have all sorts of financial, structural, or logistical problems. But I truly believe this is the road God is calling me to take. If we acquire and rehab these zombie properties, turn them into beautiful lake communities for young adults, and serve the surrounding area, we will show people the resurrected power of the gospel and show people how with God all things are possible.